There will never be another Conor McGregor, and the reason I'm doing this video is because I've seen loads of people saying about how Ilia Topuri's obviously just gone on Joe Rogan, he's the next Conor McGregor, or Paddy Pimblett, who's just beat Michael Chandler, he's the next Conor McGregor. And I think we need to get past this point, because no one's ever going to be the next Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor came in at a time where the UFC, it was big, but it wasn't like huge. It needed that big star to make it absolutely massive, and Conor McGregor was that star. Any star that comes after Conor McGregor is always the next Conor McGregor, but Conor McGregor wasn't the next someone, he was just Conor McGregor. And that's what we need to do with fighters now, with the Paddy Pimblett, with the Ilia Topuria, even like Makhachev, he's got a huge following. We can't be like, oh, Makhachev, he's the next Khabib. I know they've obviously got relations, and they train together, but just be like, oh, he's Islam Makhachev. Do you know what I mean? So like, this thing about Conor McGregor and someone being the next him, 5 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, maybe 5-6 years ago, he was bigger than the UFC itself. When he was fighting Floyd Mayweather, I reckon more people knew Conor McGregor than they knew what the UFC was. I think more people knew that he was an MMA fighter more than the UFC was an MMA organisation. Conor McGregor was so big that even to this day, me and loads of other people still say the quotes to their boys, or still take the mick out of their boys using the stuff that Conor McGregor said 10 years ago. He was so big of a superstar that no one can compete. But the reason no one could compete is because the UFC itself is so much bigger now. And Conor McGregor is still massive. He's obviously still running for Ireland. Obviously he's done loads of bad, dodgy stuff the last couple of years. But before that, 5 years before that, when he was fighting, when he was in his prime, he was the biggest superstar in the world. I would honestly argue that he was a bigger star than most famous other athletes in other sports. Obviously, you might have the exceptions of like Ronaldo, Messi, people like that, but he was bigger than any Olympian, he was bigger than any boxer, he was bigger than any, I don't know, tennis player. So he was such a big star that people are now just trying to recreate him, because now people don't like him, or now he's obviously not really a fighter anymore. So people are just trying to make the next Conor McGregor. But that's not what we should do. We should make whoever we're picking to be that person, Ilia Topuria. We need to just make, no, this isn't the next Conor McGregor, this is Ilia Topuria. He's done this, and he's going to go on to do this. So when we're talking about this type of stuff, like, we've got to be really careful with it, especially with Paddy Pimblett, because he's like, I feel like Ilia Topuria, he's a bit different, where he does talk on the mic and everyone loves him, but he's more just an unbelievable fighter, and he knocks out everyone's favourite fighters, Volkanovski, Max Holloway. He's knocking out the best of the best. Like, he's just be arguably the number 1 and 3 greatest of all time in the featherweight division. Knocked them out clean, easy too. Now he's moving up to lightweight. If he beats Islam Makhachev, if he knocks Islam Makhachev out, could he become the greatest of all time? 100%. Like, he is unbelievable, and we can't then just compare him to Conor McGregor just because he's got a huge following and he's knocking people out, which Conor McGregor was doing. But he's completely different, where Paddy Pimblett, he's a little bit more similar, where he's obviously Ireland, Scouse, same type of thing, where people from around the world see it as like this funny, cool accent, and people want to make impressions of it. And he's got the thing where, like, he hypes the crowd up loads, he gets the crowd involved, everyone's buzzing off what the things he says, and which is what Conor McGregor done. But instead of trying to make Pimblett like McGregor, everyone just needs to make Pimblett and keep McGregor himself, because I feel like that's how we lose, or that's how we like don't appreciate certain fighters. We see fighters and we're like, oh, he's the next John Jones, he's the next Conor McGregor, and then they lose and you think, oh, he's nothing, he's rubbish, and then you forget about him. So if Ilya Topuria gets beat by Islam Makhachev, we're all going to go, whatever, see you later, Ilya. Or we're going to be like, nah, he's amazing, like he can still fight back, get back to the belt, and then maybe fight the next up and comer. But when we do look at Conor McGregor, he is the biggest superstar in UFC history, obviously, and I can't see anyone getting bigger than him because of the time he came in. He came in when there was obviously big stars, John Jones, Chael Sonnen, Anderson Silva, GSP, but they went globally. Like, I always think it back, like, my dad doesn't watch much MMA, but he knew Conor McGregor in 2015. Everyone knew Conor McGregor. By 2017, everyone's nan probably knew Conor McGregor. Like, he was the biggest star, and then when he fought Floyd Mayweather, obviously got even bigger. But the UFC obviously promoted him so well, and I feel like the UFC have almost got away from that, promoting fighters as much as Conor McGregor. Like, one of my favourite press conferences ever is Conor McGregor in Rio. We don't do this global press conference anymore, like when there's a huge fight, when Ilya Topuria, if he fights Islam Makhachev, or if he fights Paddy the Baddy, either person, are we going to do a worldwide tour for them? Probably not. The UFC don't really do them anymore. Are we going to go to New York, do a press conference there, LA, do a press conference there, Madrid, do one there, Liverpool, do one there? Like, when they were doing the McGregor Aldo and he went to Ireland and that little kid's on the mic and all the Irish fellas on the mic just giving it to Aldo, that's what we want to see. I feel like the UFC have got so big and it's almost like they don't need to do all this anymore because there's such a global name and one of the biggest sports in the world now, that they don't need to travel around. And that's how you build these stars, that's how you build Conor McGregor. People still make clips on TikTok and YouTube and all that of Conor McGregor funny bits and Conor McGregor funniest moments in press conference. Who the fuck is that guy, Jeremy Stephens? That's still talked about to this day. Jeremy Stephens fighting in a couple of weeks, and when his fight got announced, all anyone could say in the comments was, who is this guy, who the fuck's that guy? Which is just the Conor McGregor line. People still use that to this day. That's how big of a star he was, that's how big of the stuff he was saying was. And the UFC really need to get back to not trying to make another Conor McGregor, but promoting their fighters even more and not letting their fighters just do one press conference 2 days before and maybe they have a bit of fun in the media day. But I want to see beef between the fighters, and even if it's not beef between the fighters, put loads of people on a press conference, and Ilya Topuria is there, but also Paddy Pimblett's there, and all Islam Makhachev's there. Like, get all of these people talking to each other. Like, I just think the best thing now, like the way press conferences now, the one thing that could be amazing for them is if the UFC say, right, the top 8 UFC lightweights, or even it doesn't have to be the top 8, it can be obviously Justin Gaethje, Poirier, Holloway, Makhachev, Oliveira, Paddy, Sarukian, and then you can get like Mauricio Rufi, Ignacio Bahamondes, and Mateus Gamrot. All of these big fighters, Beneil Dariush, in the lightweight division, sit them on a press conference, because no, I don't even think any of them have got a match yet, and just get them all beefing with each other, get some rivalries that we want to see. I don't want to see what's good, easy fights for certain fighters. I want to see people fight who hate each other. Like the Bryce Mitchell, Gene Silva, that was an amazing fight. Everyone was on the edge of the seat the whole time because you could see that neither person wanted to be beat. That's what Conor McGregor done. He made it so that if Eddie Alvarez lost, he'd be the biggest laughing stock ever. If Jose Aldo lost, he's the biggest laughing stock ever. UFC need to help their fighters to be able to do that. We don't want to have the next Conor McGregor. We've got Conor McGregor already. We've had Conor McGregor. We want our fighters to become as big of a star as them, as him. And the UFC need to help that. And I feel like they're not helping it at the moment. But let me know what you think, because out of the whole of the UFC, I definitely think them two, Ilya Topuria and Paddy Pimblett, have the biggest chance to be in the biggest star. I think they've actually overtook Sean O'Malley. I think Sean O'Malley was one of the biggest stars in the UFC, but I think them two just overtook him. And because they appeal more to the worldwide fan, where I feel like Sean O'Malley appeals to the American fan, where Ilia Topuria, everyone in Brazil probably wants him to win, Argentina, the whole of Europe want him to win. In England, everyone loves him. I'm obviously from Liverpool, everyone loves him. And then Paddy's the same, but he kind of does the worldwide one. And he's a bit like where obviously Ilia doesn't like where he speaks about his country and stuff like that. And that's a bit like Khabib, Conor McGregor 2 type vibe. So the UFC have a lot of exciting fighters in the UFC, and a lot of people they can market well. And it's just if they're going to do it, and if they're going to do it right. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the video. Do you agree with me? Do you think there'll never be another Conor McGregor? Or do you think Conor McGregor is pretty easily replaceable? I definitely disagree with that. But let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you later.